And this is something where another artist inspired me, which is Gordon Matta Clark, which I admire a lot. And this is very badly photographed from a book of him, but just to show. And I like this method of him. He calls it psychic alterations, to find really the crucial points in buildings where to cut things out, where to experience very, very intensely new things, like cutting really the point where you get through a door, where you have really very there you see from the lower floor, you see the door and the man trying to step over the threshold, and this too. And I don't know whether you know all these things, like this split house, which is of course just for everybody very interesting. What happens if the sun goes through all parts of the house, and I really sort of had this inspiration from him to do a set for Meg Stewart in Zurich. This was called Visitors Only, and it's of course quite an absurd thing, because Matta Clark used abandoned houses to do this, and we built a house as if it was cut out. It was really like a piece cut out of a house of 2 stories. And also, you see a little bit the middle, which is the most dangerous point, was cut out too. Here you see the way it was set up in the Schiffbauhalle. And here are some photos of the show. And here now, this was the last scene. And then I found this also later. And this was the big flood in Germany, and that was sort of, sometimes you'll find these things afterwards, like before. And I just show this because this was very nice, because in the Time Festival in Ghent, they set it up, the set in the streets. So it was just a very new experience to have the house really in the street. And here you see a little bit when they were rehearsing, and it was very Swiss quality work, so it could really stand by its own. This is another theme, which is again the mirror, and I made this photo in an eastern Polish town in a little foyer, and I thought it was also, for me, the photo was like, I thought I would like to reconstruct this, and I did it in an opera. It was a first show of a very radical German composer, Hespos. It was called Iopal, and there was singing. It was a big opera, but without text. They could sing the sound with the music. It was so free. Everybody was shocked. So, so I copied this room also, because you see, and no, you don't see it. It's too dark. It was really the whole wooden panels taking over the wood of the audience. And what was so nice about, I tried out the whole evening different ways of mirroring. For example, here, the musicians entered they all entered to the orchestra pit from these little doors in the back of the scene. And even here, although there's 2 men mirroring 2 women, there were some people who thought for 20 minutes it was a real mirror. Then you can see and I think to try this out was very wonderful. And so I tried a lot of things with the chorus ladies, and it's very funny to find out, how it works. And for example, when they're all lying, it doesn't matter, because you cannot really see what's mirroring. And here in this case, it was Ariane et Barbe Bleue I did at the Bastille. I directed this too, and in Paris, and it was the first idea I got in this case for a costume. And because it's like a woman, Ariane, she wants to free the other ladies who are kept by Barbe Bleue, and it was the beginning of the 20th century, and she's a little bit like these first women who were traveling through the world and making photos of everything, and she wanted to be like a prince who saves all the other girls. And so you see now this is the costume of Deborah Polaski, who was Ariane, and this was a theme also. What I like is that you look from outside into spaces, and this had and it was also the idea the Bastille is just too big. It's 3,000 people, and it's a very big stage, and of course this is on the right side, which is normally the garage. It was like in a Frau von Otter, and it's a quite idiotic operetta, and although it was quite scandalous and very political when it was done. It's not so easy to do it now, but in the middle of the piece, the young soldier, she's in love, La Grande Duchesse, in love with this young soldier. He makes him general, and he has to go to war, and he comes back, and he is the winner because he made the enemy had been made drunk. So, but today it's quite hard to tell this, and so we had the orchestra put in camouflage uniform, and everybody had to go to war, and they did not come back. So we were free in the second half to do what we would like, and so it's really about changing a little bit the point. What does it mean nowadays to think one has to go to war? And so it's like we could also hear the cars going with the soldiers leaving. And in the end, she is alone. And this is just a little photo I made. The thing I'm doing now is Medea in Corinth. This Hans Neuenfeld's directing, and I saw this photo in Vienna when I was working in Vienna, and I was so curious because I could not imagine what this was to be. Although if I had been clever, I could have seen on the right side, you see the quadriga on the picture, and much later I found out that it was just for restoring these quadrigas because they couldn't take them down. But first I thought it's a work of art, and I could not really imagine what this means. And I was always thinking, I showed this to Neuenfels, and I said, oh, for me this has to do something with Medea, because if a house like this is on the palace, it's like danger all the time, because I like the idea that you're sitting there and you're always a little bit afraid whether this might fall down. And so this is the model now, because it's now, we just started rehearsing. And in the end, and this was, for example, I had this house, and I had this frieze upstairs from this parliament of Vienna, and then I invented this sort of palace in the middle and sort of a garage, or this is a quadriga inside, but it's only 2 horses. But in the end it's flying away, because in the end it says Medea is flying away with her dragon wagon. Well, that's it. I could, but it's even much.
No, it's fine. It's completely fine. I'm just completely overwhelmed. It's so weird for me, because normally I'm not very much at loss for words. But really, I find it difficult to ask stuff, because the thought is just so amazingly clear.